got the sleep that you were hoping for. But I know that doesn't affect Dan. He manages to, as I say, run on empty, run on passion and adrenaline alone. And we're very, very blessed. And again, I know I'm preaching to the converted, to have someone who leads our company in the right way, who leads with integrity, with the right ethics, that we don't cut corners where we shouldn't do. We always build in the right way. We have a solid foundation. All we need to do is continue to grow because everything's in place. We've got more than enough, everything that we need. We just want that more and more for Europe now. That's our focus. And obviously, as Carmelo said, UK is the third largest market. We can change that. We can challenge those other markets because we've got great leadership and we've got people with a passion and a desire to build a business. So please give a huge welcome to our Synergy Worldwide founder, Mr. Dan Higginson.
Thank you. Is that, I don't have any slides, do I? Okay. I had a big slide presentation, but Carmelo and Rob said, I don't know about that one. So we're going to go from the heart. I feel blessed and highly favored. I really do. Incredible. Was in Korea last week. 5,000 people in the room. When you talk about team directors and pearls and elites and emeralds and diamonds walking across the stage, and you have 200, 150, it's crazy. And it all starts somewhere. It starts with heart. It starts with belief. It starts with the desire to be something that you're not today. And it started with that way for me. I'm going to tell you my story because there's some of you that are new that have asked me to share a little bit of my history. I was born into goodly parents, unbelievable parents. Parents that told me that I was best at everything I did. And it paid off huge dividends today because I struggled. I struggled in school. I remember in the third grade, I'd have to go to school and crawl around like a dog on my hands and knees and pretend I was climbing a ladder because my ADD and my ADHD were so severe, and my dyslexia, I was writing everything backwards. And so they had me doing these funky exercises to overcome this. And in today's world, if a child is in that situation, they're usually bullied or ridiculed or beaten down. But for me, because I was the best athlete that age and I could whip their butt at recess, I got by. And I feel grateful for that because a lot of children didn't have that out that I had. So today I'm honored and privileged to tell you a little bit about myself. When I was 9 years old, there was a knock on our door, and my father let this man in our home. And he wanted to share a business opportunity. And as he was sharing this business opportunity, I remember going from the pantry to the front room, to the pantry to the front room. And my dad never, ever, ever said anything. You know, most parents would have said, please give us our privacy and freedom. But being ADD and ADHD, my dad knew who I was, and it didn't bother him. But as he was going on, I remember my dad asking the man, is this Amway? And the gentleman said, no. And they carried on. And about 20 minutes went by, and he opened up his briefcase, and in his briefcase was an Amway catalog. And my father said, sir, I'm going to ask you one more time, is this Amway? And he said, no, not really. We're the American Eagle Freedom Group, and we represent Amway products, but we're our own established organization. And that upset my father very much. And he's a handshake guy. He looked you in the eye, and what you see is what you get. And so he escorted the man out of our home, and I won't say the choice words that he used, but that guy never came back. That very day, my dad looked at me and he said, son, don't ever be a part of something you're not proud of. Don't ever be a part of deception. Don't ever be a part of something that you can't passionately believe in. And he says, don't ever do what that man did. Be your man. Go get your education, give back to your community, etc. And so that dad became anti-network marketing. At 9 years old, think about it, anti. Didn't want anything to do with it, didn't want any part of it. In fact, when I thought about it, all the way up to the years that I'm getting to, it was a very, very bad image. When I pictured network marketing, I pictured, mansions that can't be paid for, cars that can't be paid for, cocaine residue on people's noses, broken marriages. It was the worst visual you could ever think of. As I fast forward in my life, just to give you some ideas, the reason I share with you that I was born by goodly parents is it's very important for me to understand, that you understand that if you weren't, you're in the best business in the world. And I'm going to share why. Because I was in such a crazy environment growing up. I remember coming home one day with a report card, and in English I had a C+, which is an average grade in America, and I was very concerned what my mom was going to say and if I was going to be able to play my baseball game and so forth and so forth. I was very concerned. I went in and I handed her my report card, and she said, "Son, who's this teacher?" And I said, "Well, it's Mrs. Johnson." She said, "You know, she should be fired." I said, "Why is that, Mom?" "She is the smartest kid in the school in her class, and she's giving him an average grade. She should be fired." I'm just sharing this with you because that's how I was raised. I was the best at everything I did, and I was told that. And my children now, Chase and Caitlin, 21 and 16, now believe, my son believes he's the greatest baseball player that ever stepped on the field, and my daughter believes she's the greatest dancer that ever performed. Why? Because I ingrained her in that every day. Well, I had best friends that weren't taught that way. I had friends that were ridiculed, beat down, and my dad became their father. And why I share this with you is because even if you were born into a troubling time, or parents that didn't raise you up in that thinking, well, now you're part of Dan Higginson, the Synergy family, and now you can think that way. Why? Because I love you, and the people in this room love you, and together we'll surround you. No different than when a baby elephant's born in Thailand. What do? They put a big chain around its neck, and they cement a post in the ground, and that elephant has about 8-foot circumference that it can walk in. Well, guess what? A few months later, they take that chain off that elephant, they put a little string on, put a little stick in the ground that a 10-month-old baby could pull over, and guess what? That elephant doesn't leave that area. Why? It's been trained to believe that. Some of you may have been trained to believe that. What I love about network marketing is it breaks those bonds. It now says, well, Dan Higginson doesn't believe that. Bart Woodcock doesn't believe that. Carmelo Shirley doesn't believe that. And together, we can take anybody in this room and map you into the right behavior. See, the wealthiest people in this industry, some of them never finished college education. Some of the wealthiest people in Synergy never were educated formally. I have friends in Indonesia who make $15,000 to $20,000 a month. When I met them, they were making $150 a month living in a jungle, and that's a true story. Look at Hendro's story. Look at Tepakit. Look at these people. These people had no formal education. They didn't think they could ever get out of the jungle. They never thought they'd make over $150 a month. And now these people are financially wealthy beyond measure. But more importantly, it's because they've blessed the health and the lifestyle of so many people. So that's what I love about this industry, and that's why I wanted to share that key point. The next thing I want to talk about is my adolescence. You know, I excelled in sports. I did well. I was very good in baseball, basketball, and football, but I excelled in baseball. And it was because I had a father that told me I was the best at the game. And so as leaders, what you should be saying to your downline is you're the best at what you do. It just takes belief, right? But when I decided to go do some service work for my church back in 1990, I was working out on the Indian reservation, and I was hauling water, and they were all drinking from it. It was on the Continental Divide. It was probably 105 degrees and dry heat, and I was very thirsty. And so I asked them if I could, is this water safe to drink? They said, well, we've been drinking it all day. And they were. So I dive in that day, baby, and drink it, and the next morning I'm very sick. The next afternoon, I'm deathly ill. The next day, I can't even lift my arms and legs, and my skin's starting to change color that quickly. And so I went to the Cibola Regional Medical Center in Gallup, New Mexico, and they diagnosed me with hepatitis A. And my liver enzymes were so high that I was starting to get permanent scarring of the liver. And I became very concerned because I had dreams. My dreams were to play college baseball. And I had big dreams. And all of a sudden, I started losing weight profusely, like 60 pounds. All that muscle, all the things that I'd worked so hard for in my life, I was losing. And a family took me in their home. They all had to have the gamma globulin shot, which is, it's a highly contagious Hep A. And so, I don't know if you've had that shot, but it's like shooting hot peanut butter in you. It's terrible. And all their little kids had to take that shot just so that I could stay and finish what I'd committed to. To push forward even further, when I got home on April the 11th of 1992, and my ex-girlfriend called me from the university, and she said, can you come talk to these guys about what you've been doing, who you've been serving, and how you did it? And I said, sure. So I drove down there to see my ex-girlfriend and her friends, and share, no different than you, wanting to share with your friends, Synergy Worldwide. And I went there, and as I'm walking in, this beautiful lady came walking out. I mean, my heart just went boom, 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 boom. I thought, wow, holy cow, God is great. And I walked by and she just kind of blew me off. Didn't really say anything, just right by. But she came out of the apartment that I was going into. And what turns out later that she was the roommate of my ex-girlfriend. And I went in and shared why I was there and so forth with these gentlemen. And as I was leaving, that girl came back. And she said, would you like to go fly a kite? Now in America, if they say go fly a kite, that means goodbye and don't come back. But she was sincere and she wanted to go fly a kite. So we went over to the football field and we flew a kite. I never dated another girl, married her 9 months later. She gave me Chase and Caitlin 2 unbelievable children and has supported me through thick and thin in this business. And if it weren't for her, I wouldn't be here today. And if it weren't for my illness, I wouldn't be here today. If it wasn't for my parents, I wouldn't be here today. You see how it all lines up? Well, it gets better. I marry her. I think I've got the bull by the horn. I'm excited. I'm getting my health back. I'm still suffering from the ill effects of hepatitis. But I'm starting to feel good again. And I'm getting ready for college baseball, my dream. And it was December the 10th. I was married on December the 4th. 6 days after I was married, I had a business law final at the university down in Utah Valley. And they said to me, I called the guy and I said, hey, is there any way I can push back that test? I have strep throat and a high fever. And he said, I don't care if you have 10 doctor's notices, we don't push back finals. So I went and took the test, and I aced it, mind you. And on my way home, they don't know to this day what happened. I either fell asleep or passed out from fatigue or the ill effects of hepatitis, but I rolled my truck down the freeway and broke my T12 vertebrae in half. So here I've been married 6 days, and I wake up in a hospital bed and they're getting ready to drill a halo in my head. And my first words to the doctor were terrible. I'd just been married, and the first thing I said to him is, how's my truck? And he said, and my poor wife, who's just run about 10 red lights to get there, I should have said, hey, where's my wife? How's she doing? I was raised with 5 brothers. I was insensitive. I apologize. I said, how's my truck? And he said, well, it's totaled, but if it makes you feel better, it was still running when we got to the accident. And I said, that doesn't make me feel any better. And I said, the second question is, when can I play baseball? And he said, son, you're done playing sports. You're done. There's no compression whatsoever for over a year. Well, that was like taking the balloon out of me. That was like ripping my heart out of my chest. It became a very difficult thing for me to face. And I had this beautiful wife of 6 days, and that's the only reason I'm here today, because I can honestly tell you, if it weren't for her, I didn't care if God took me home that day or not, honestly. That's how depressed I was, because you build these dreams as a young child, and you work so hard to attain those dreams, and then they're gone. And my wife was getting ready to come to the UK as the lead singer for United States of America Cloggers Association. She was the lead singer. It was her dream. And here her husband has been in a wreck, and she says, oh, honey, I'm not going. I said, yeah, you are. And she says, sweetheart, you can't even scratch yourself. You're in a body cast. I'm not leaving you. I said, sweetheart, you're going. I'll move a buddy in. He'll take care of me. My mom's 3 blocks away. And to this day, when I get feeling the blues or the flu, guess where I go? To my mom's. Why? Because there's going to be hot soups. You rub my head. My wife's like, suck it up, get in the bed, whatever. But my mama, she still takes care of me at 46. I was just down there not too long ago after a long trip to another market, and but it all hit so fast and so hard, and I talked her into going. So she came over here to the UK. Her favorite place in the whole world is London. And she did her thing. And while she was doing it, my buddy moved in with me. His name's Phil Brook. And Phil took care of me, kind of. He ridiculed me. And one day I was really down, really, really, really depressed. And I used to believe when you got depressed, you put yourself in a circle of influence with other people, like-minded people that were also down on life and reactive, and they kind of pulled you down with them. I really believed that. I don't believe that anymore. I know that it's a chemical change. I know that it happens. I know that it's serious, and I know that it's real. And I was very depressed, and Phil said to me one day, he said, Dan, are you going to play professional baseball? And I said, well, no. And he said, then what do you care? College is college. You be a part of the game the rest of your life. And guess what? He was right. And I changed my behavior. My paradigm shifted. And guess what? I am a part of baseball to this day. I took kids at 8 years old that nobody wanted on their team. We went 0-16, didn't win one game. They all got cut from their 8U tryouts, right? The next year, in that fall, same year in the fall, we went 8-8. The following year we went 63-6, and when they were 14 years old, we won the World Series against every country there is with those same kids. So yes, I've been a part of the game. I love the game. I love what it teaches. So I started to get my head on straight. My wife's over at Covey Leadership Center. She calls me and she says, hey, they have a job opening. I said, okay, what's the requirements? She says, well, you got to have a bachelor's and 4 years experience. And I told them you didn't have either. And I said, so why are we wasting our time? And this gentleman said, come over anyway. And I went over to the interview. I was kind of irritated, to be honest with you. Still got my body, now I'm in a torso one where I can actually walk, but it's still wrapped tight. It's like those girls they wore in the 1900s. And I'm hurting. And I sit down in the chair and I'm thinking, golly, you gotta have a bachelor's and 4 years experience. I neither, why am I here? And went through this whole interview process. Well, I left. And I live about 6 miles away. I get home, the phone rings. I pick it up, it's that gentleman. He says, you've been hired. I said, excuse me? He said, you've been hired. I said, I'm not gonna lie on my resume. He said, you don't have to, we changed the policy. We like you. Blessed, right? Highly favored and blessed. Everything in my life, from my parents, the way they raised me, to the experiences and the trials and tribulations that I've suffered, to all those things had a great ending. And that's what I try to teach people today, is I want them to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I want them to see and picture and feel that there's success waiting. It's just a matter of hard work, dedication, and discipline to get it. So I go to this job and I'm running around executives, making sure their cars are registered, getting them coffee on time, all these things. I'm making $5.25 an hour. And then one day I pulled a prank, and everybody that knows me knows I'm a prankster. And it's not good. It's got me in a lot of trouble over the years. But I took a squid and I put it up in this lady's light bulb at about 4 p.m. We all went home from work at 5 because I knew it wouldn't stink up before then. The next morning we came to the office, nobody could walk in the facility. It was so terribly rancid that nobody could go in and do their jobs. It was like someone shooting vinegar in your eyes. It was terrible. And I thought, well, good job, Dan. They changed the policy for you, now you're getting yourself fired. Good job. Well, on the loudspeaker, sure enough, Dave Walker, Dan Higginson to my office, please. Uh-oh, I'm sick. I go to his office. He never says one thing about the squid. He never says one thing about the prank. He says, you know, the other day when everybody was sick, I said, yeah. He says, you know when you jumped on the phones? You never been trained? Yeah. You know, you did some really good things. And I thought, wow, well, what's this about? He said, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. He says, when you answer the phone, you were bringing $4,000 of revenue to the company. But all the people out on the floor with you were bringing $44.95. Can you explain yourself? I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. He said, Dan, I'm going to ask you again. When you pick up the phone and say, Covey Leadership Center, how may I help you? You bring $4,000 of revenue to the company. But when your cohorts get on the phone, they bring in $44.95. Can you explain yourself? Honest to God, I had no idea what he meant. Clueless. And then it clicked. I realized that my cohorts were selling a $44 7 Habits audio system for people to listen to in their cars. I believed that if you wanted to be fully trained in the 7 Habits, you needed to come meet Dr. Covey himself in Sundance, Utah. So every executive I talked to from anywhere in the world, I sold them on the $4,000 package. Well, I didn't even know the $44 one existed because I didn't care. Right? It's belief level, right? So they promoted me as the manager of that division. So I had all 80 of those people now working for me. The kid with no degree. Some of these people are Ivy League school graduates, and they're looking at me like, who's this punk? What was the difference? Belief. Belief. That's it. That's it. Nothing else. Just belief. So they promoted me, and they promoted me again, and they promoted me again, and I'm not sharing this to brag. I'm sharing this because I'm blessed and highly favored. I believe that I was in the right spot at the right time, and all of a sudden, they made a mistake. Dr. Covey himself, God rest his soul. And that meant that if Bart Woodcook sold $2 million in the client services group in Western United States, and Dan Higginson sold $4 million in the Eastern group, we got paid the same money. That didn't sit well with Dan Higginson. I outperformed him by 2 times, and I get the same income. Well, what had happened is they put a ceiling. And if you hit 2 million, you were in the highest threshold. So guys that hit 2 million and then they go golf and screw around and vacation, well, I kept going, hit 4 million. No, you're gonna pay me based on performance, right? So I was very down, very frustrated. That did not fit the model at all. And so what I did is I went into my manager and I was sharing with him what I thought was wrong. And he said, I agree, you have two choices. One, you can go run the new division, Executive Excellence is spinning off. Or two, you can stay right here and be happy. And I said, well, is there a ceiling over my head at the new business? Nope. I said, what does it entail? You're gonna work with the top 18 business minds in the world every month. You're gonna interview them, publish their articles, and you're gonna sell them to Fortune 500 companies in America. I said, done. So I went over there and I left. Greatest education I ever had in my life was this. Hey, Peter Drucker, what do you think today about bloodletting? Hey, Dr. Covey, what do you think about right-siding? Hey, Tom Peters, what do you think about this? Bill Gates, what do you think about that? And I went through all of these unbelievable people, Zig Ziglar, Warren Bennis, Peter Senge, Tom Peters, to name a few. Every month, call them up, shut my mouth, hit record. Take it to Ken Shelton, the ghostwriter. He'd write a beautiful article, no advertisements. We'd sell it to the Fortune 500 companies for $199 for a 2-year subscription. Built this amazing business. While I was doing that, I wanted to get my health back. See, for 9 months that I courted my wife going back, she only knew Dan Higginson at 80%. Because I still suffer from the ill effects of hepatitis. And if you have hepatitis, you know what they do? They give you hard candy to suck on, which is a joke, literally, in the medical establishment. And they intravenously feed you because you can't keep anything down. And it frustrated me. And I couldn't get my health back, and so I did the unthinkable. I started to talk to the people who I was raised never to talk to. Chiropractors, kinesiologists, iridologists, home health, nutrition quacks. Well, guess what? Those are the only people I talk to now. Because when I went to these individuals, every one of them told me I had a bad liver. And every one of them were dead accurate, and I told every one of them, you know what, thank you for your time. I had a rotator cuff injury in baseball, I'm out of here, because I thought they were crazy. But everything led back that they all said, Dan, you're inconsistent. The iridologist took pictures of my eyes, got a bad liver. The kinesiologist held product up, man, you're inconsistent and your liver's shot. They were correct. So finally, I met a man that taught me the theory of chronic acidosis. And when he taught me that theory, I said, what is that? He said, 95 out of 100 Americans are acidic. And in an acidic environment, disease thrives. I said, 95 out of 100 Americans? And you're telling me that if they have a disease in their body that it thrives? And he said, that's right. And I didn't believe it. So he handed me a Stanford University medical study. Boom. And guess who was in that feature study? An athlete by the name of Michael Jordan. In America, the African Americans' acidity levels are even higher than the Caucasian. A lot of times it's diet, a lot of times it's genetic, hereditary, etc. But guess what? It was even higher, but Michael Jordan's was perfect. Perfect. They said, why? Why? Well, let's look what Michael does. What did Michael do after every game in the NBA? He put the two most acidic things in his body. He smoked a cigar, highly dumb, right? And he drank a glass of wine every single time. But yet he had perfect alkalinity. His body was perfect. Well, they started looking at his diet. And guess what was in that diet? Greens. All the things alkaline-based, non-acidic based. Lemons, lemon water in the morning. All these things that we're now learning 20 years later how great and they are for you. And that's what he was putting in his body. So I said, okay, so what do I got to do? And he told me. And I did exactly what this gentleman told me. And guess what? My liver enzymes went back to normal. My energy level went through the roof. My wife started questioning why she married me in the first place, because now the class clown Dan is back. And she liked me at 80%. I liked me at 100%. And it caused some turmoil. It really did. For about 6 months, she didn't know who this guy was that she married. But I had to scream it. I wanted to scream it from loud buildings. I wanted people to know what I had. And I had no vehicle. And that's when, again, right? Parenting, job opportunities, intervention, accidents, trials, and boom. Not 10 days later, Dave Fairbanks, who to this day, if I'm struggling, I call on the phone. My boss at Covey called me and he said, hey, come to my office. I said, great. He said, we're going to think outside the box. Man, I lit up like a Christmas tree, because when they say think outside the box, they're going to pay me to go with Campbell and bar and go golf and come back with a good idea. For real. That's what they did. That was the environment. No different than the 3M lady that was at church and she created the sticky notes, right? She should have become mega rich, but she probably sold them for very little to 3M, and now 3M has patents on every time we pull a sticky note off and write a note, you can thank her, right? My point is that I was excited. And he said, well, I said, what's the challenge? He goes, we want you to go consult network marketing companies on personal growth and development issues. And my jaw literally, visibly, to David's, hit the table. I said, oh, no, not this. Because at that time it was God, my father, Stephen Covey, in that order of my priority and mentorship. And here I have Stephen Covey's going to go put his material in network marketing companies. It was the scroungiest business I've ever heard of. I was sick about it. And he said, shame on you, Dan. He said, there's 11 million full-time networkers in America. They're smarter than you, better than you, brighter than you, in a business they believe in, and you need to go service them because they need our materials. And I remember going home so irritated that night, so mad. I couldn't believe that he was going to do this to himself. And when I got there home and started talking with my wife, and she's kind of settling me down, I realized that, okay, I got this. I'm going to go into these companies. I'm going to put their CEOs or their founders' picture on the front cover with Covey, Blanchard, Senge, Drucker. The whole downline's going to buy it. I'm going to get filthy rich doing it. They're going to get educated to get out of the business. It's a win-win. Everybody wins. That was honestly my paradigm. Well, I flew to New Vision International on October 11th of 1995, and I pulled in, and guess what's out front? Brand new cherry red Ferrari. I wanted to throw up on myself, right? I'm thinking, oh my gosh, here I go. I'm walking into the most dirty money in the world, right? I walk in the door, and there's a guy named Steve Hooper. He's about 6'8". He has a Y on his shirt. That's where I'm from. BYU. I'm like, whoa, what are you doing here? Do you go rogue or what? He goes, no, man. He said, I'm the chief operating officer, and we're the fastest growing company in the world. I said, incredible. So he takes me on a tour. I don't see anything, right? I'm not seeing any product or anything. I see tapes after tapes after tapes after tapes. I want to throw up on myself. Because I'm thinking like, get rich now, ask me how, or we do this for you, all you do is supply names, or some BS tape, right? Well, I walk over and the tape says, dead doctors don't lie. So I was fascinated because, hey, I've alkalized my body, I'm back to full health. I'm big on the nutrition scene now, so you know what? You mind if I listen to that tape on my break? So I go pop it in my old, remember this is a tape, cassette tape. I go pop it in my rental car, and I'm listening to this tape, and I believe that if I did not get on their pyruvate product, I was going to die. That's how convincing this tape was about all the free radicals and all the challenges we face every day in this world. And my paradigm started to shift a little bit. And then it took me through 22 other companies, the last being the launch of Big Planet for New Skin International, where my entire paradigm shifted. And I said to myself, I can do this business and I can do it better than them. Why? Because my parents told me so. Why? Because my wife believes so. The reality is that I should have been the 1 in 311 at the start. Don't make it 2 years. It's the most failed business in the world, next to the restaurant business. And that was clear back in 1998. So you can imagine what that failure rate's now. Because there's a new startup every day, some coin, your coin, my coin, his coin. I mean, it's a joke what's going on. So I look at this and I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it better than anybody else. So bring in Bar Woodcook, and when he talks about this compensation plan, I didn't just write this compensation plan, guys. I studied the top 27 companies that hit $100 million annually and stayed on that list 10 years or longer. And then I took all the benefits of those plans and created my own. The first ever dual linear mega match in 1999. That's a fact. Nobody had ever paid on one leg. You sponsor one person and get paid up to $5,000 a month on one leg. It wasn't heard of. You go to USANA or a binary system. You go anywhere, Beverly Sassoon. You go to Market America. Anywhere. If you don't have a second leg, you don't get paid. But I have people, real people, here and in Korea and all over, that have one leg and don't get paid. I love that. I love the fact that we didn't just throw out a plan, but we studied the industry. And what I wanted to do, based on my research, was that this industry is built on one word: credibility. I learned that the hard way. That's a 4-hour training day, and I'm not going to go into that today. I'll tell you briefly what that is. I took the youngest high school superstar I could find, This kid was loved by athletes, he was loved by band members, quote, nerds, whatever. This kid was loved. So I asked him to hold a party at his house and invite the whole student body. Who do you think showed up? The entire student body. We shut it down, told him it was part of a case study, wasn't happy. Took the same kid and said, now, on a serious note, invite those same people to my home at 7 p.m. on Wednesday night. If you truly want to be the youngest millionaire in Utah, I'll guarantee you that happens. Are you serious? I said, yeah. I said, is this a case study? I said, no. I want you to show up, Sam. Invite every one of those people. Well, guess who showed up to my house? Not even his girlfriend. Why? Because I made him specifically tell them what he was doing. See, an 18-year-old superstar, best looking kid in school, hottest girlfriend, all the credibility, popular, couldn't even get his best friends to show up to a business opportunity. Why? Because he has zero credibility in business. They'll all come to his house and party on Friday night because he has all the credibility socially there is. But when it comes to making money, he knows nothing. And he said, Dan, you're a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. Bill Gates is a 10. Sam, he's a 0. Even though he's the smartest kid in the school, the best looking kid, the captain of the football team, the best looking girlfriend, he's a 0 in business. He said, so what happens is you guys go to your circle of influence. Think about this for a minute. Think about this in your own life. You've all been nervous to go up, but you go to your circle of influence, people have trust in you, and you get them to come join this business. Well, they're 4s. 4s go to 3s. 3s to 2s. 2s to 1. Now we wonder why we can't get anybody at a meeting because we have no credibility. It's that simple. But what happens if you go to a Bill Gates? What happens if you go up that credibility scale? Then guess what happens? Everybody comes. And guess what? We need the 4s, the 3s, the 2s, the 1s, because we make the 1s and the 0s, we can make them something special. But we have to start up. So when he told me that and taught me that, I decided to go to Tokyo, Japan. #1 hardest market in the world to enter. Very strict. If this product right here was in Japan, it'd be rejected today. That's how crazy I've become. Let's look at this product. See that? See how the label's crooked? That's unacceptable in Japan. 0. Okay? So I knew I had a tough battle ahead of me. I can remember sitting there. My wife's thumbs would crack and bleed. We were hand labeling every single product. And because we were in Japan, it had to be perfect. And if there was a bubble in there, and my poor little girl, Caitlin, who was running the bottles back and forth to us, as her and I were doing this in the beginning, still remembers those days. And I'm grateful for that. Why? Because she remembers how hard it was to get where you want to go. She remembers that. So she didn't take anything for granted. I love that what happened to her. Well, once I figured it all out, I said, listen, we know why network marketing has a multi-billion-dollar revenue stream and a so-so reputation. We know that. Well, guess what's happened in my 20 years? Network marketing's reputation has risen and traditional business has declined. Why? Because people are tired of being in 7 different places and hoping at 62 they get the gold watch and the retirement party. Because it just doesn't happen, folks. And especially in America. In America, 66 people 66 years and over are dead broke. And it's sad. It breaks my heart. Because a lot of those men and women were the people who gave us the freedoms to live in our country. They fought the battles, the world wars, and those things. And yet they're the ones struggling. Are you kidding me? It's pathetic. I hate it. So I look at this room today and I say, I see a bunch of faces. And I can see people that have hope. And I can see people that want things. And I can see people that want to define their true why. And I hope after we get done with these 5 converging factors today, that you have a crystal clear objective of where you're going and what your why is. My why was to empower the worldwide community through health, wealth, and wisdom. Because my why changed when I got my health back. My why became a passionate, how do I go bless the lives of people? We launched February 18th, 1999 in Tokyo, Japan. We grew from 0 to 1.8 million a month. We thought we had hung the freaking moon. We were this little minnow swimming around in the ocean. Here come Herbalife and New Skin and Amway and Shackley and these big, huge wells. And they were looking at us like out of the corner of their eye like we're not even delightful or tasty. And I loved it. Because nobody knew us, but yet we were succeeding. Well, guess what? We happened to catch the attention of one of those companies called Nature Sunshine. And Nature Sunshine had failed in Japan. And Nature Sunshine said, boy, if we had synergies, marketing expertise, and compensation plan, this new way of thinking in Japan, this could be really interesting. So they contacted us. And I won't tell you that whole story, but it started out as a fair thing. When they first showed up, it was a surprise visit. I thought, oh boy, they're gonna sue us. And I thought, oh, I'm just young and dumb. I probably infringed on a product patent. I probably stole something I didn't know, an ingredient, something, right? But that's not what happened. Darren Ho came in and he said, listen, we're a 5A1 credit rated company. We're debt free. We're the first company to ever encapsulate nerve. We drive a Cadillac 55 miles an hour. You know why, Dan? Because the speed limit says 55 miles an hour. We change our oil and our tires every 3,000 miles and we rotate them. Why? Because it says to. You guys, we vision is this little red Porsche. Backlight's broken out. You make a left-hand turn signal, turn right. You're going 80 in a 55. All we want to do is take our Cadillac and put it in front of your Porsche. We don't want you to change your image. We just want to give you some guidance. And I can never forget, as long as I live, the words spoken to my ear one night, late, woke up out of a dead rest, never done that before, and it was convergence, and it was Peter Drucker, a guy that I'd written all these articles with and for and interviewed hundreds of times, and yet he was too smart for me. I never really understood him. He was always using words that were so big, but the thing that I did remember is a simple convergence of factors in business, which is simply, who's this company? What is the timing like for this company? Do their products serve a trend, or are they just a fly-by-night? And do they compensate and treat people fairly, and do they have a mission? And I thought about that a lot. And I realized that if we sold to Nature's Sunshine, and they would agree to leave us independent, that means not merge their comp plan and our comp plan, not merge their products and our products, but really truly leave us independent, then I'd have the best of both worlds. On November 1st of 2000, I convinced my partners of that. We became a wholly owned subsidiary of Nature's Sunshine. Why do I share this with you? Because I want you to know that we've been here 45 freaking years. 45 years and growing. At our 45th anniversary the other day, we had Senator Orrin Hatch, who fought the DSHA Act. He's the oldest senator in Washington. He's the reason we're doing this business today, because he stood up firm and fought to keep health supplements available in the United States of America. He was at our meeting, thanking us. Imagine that. Attorney General Sean Reyes was in our meeting. Senator Mia Love was in our meeting. All of them praising Synergy Worldwide, Nature Sunshine, for doing it the right way. With integrity, with quality, with assurance. They're blown away as they're walking through the Hughes Center, freaked out. We can't make health claims. But yet, you're walking through the Hughes Center and you're seeing 13 clinical studies have been completed. And these very people that are regulating that are saying, congratulations. I'm proud of that. On November 1st of 2000, we became that wholly owned subsidiary. Why do I share this? Is because you need to know that you have 45 more years of running time. You have a stable company. You have 33 biochemists, scientists, and doctors who wake up every morning with one thing on their mind. What is the best and latest delivery system or technology or product for the human body? That's what they go to work every day thinking. We spend over $11 million a year annually just on those individuals. We test our products 600 separate ways. Think about that. We bring in a product from London, and believe me, we have, or from anywhere in the world, 78 countries we get products from. And people always say, is it organic? No. We're far greater than organic. Organic is no longer organic the second your neighbor floods your field with the contaminated water that he's using just up the street. That organic farm certified is no longer certified when that airplane drops out pesticides on your neighbor who's not certified and that downwind shift hits your property. So you need to understand, when you walk in our facility, we have a $9 million, right in our facility, our very own reverse water osmosis system that we purify everything inside. Did you know that an employee can't leave our facilities in their clothing or they're fired? They get dressed in the facility. We have a professional cleaning service that comes in and cleans and has their uniform folded and ready for the next morning, every day. And we never, ever, ever change off that. It's called quality, insurance, it's called integrity, okay? It's important you understand that. It's important you understand that when you put a product in your body, 600 separate times. Did you hear Bart? Did you hear Bart say, what'd you say? One drop in how many Olympic-sized swimming pools? 21 now. It was 20, but it's now 21. New technology. One drop Think about that. One eye drop. Just think about that. You guys put drops in your eyes. One drop in 21 Olympic-sized swimming pools, and our machinery and our technology will detect that specific thing. Mercury, lead, any kind of poison, any kind of insecticide, anything like that, immediately is detected. Rejected. And guess what? Who's been on a tour of our facility? Okay, perfect. What do we do with rejected material? Not for me, I'm not even gonna say it. You just say, what did they share with you on the tour?
We give it to other companies, other competitors,
That'll take it.
they'll take it.
They'll take it. That's a fact. Next time you come to Synergy and you go to my facility tour, the first thing I want you to ask when you go to quarantine, what happens to the rejected material? Just ask that question. Because I don't believe in belittling the competition. I have an abundance mentality. I root for them every day because every time they're successful, we're successful. There's plenty of people in this world that need to hear the right message. But let me also make sure you have a crystal clear understanding of this. Over 80% of every one of those nutrition companies do not manufacture their own product. Over 80%. And of those 20%, not one of them does what we do. Not one of them. That's why Natural Outlook Outdoors magazine named us the #1 nutritional manufacturer in the world in 2002. That's why Forbes named us the 100 top most trustworthy companies. Why is that important? We were the only network marketing company listed on that list, folks. You didn't see Amway on that list, or Shackley, or Herbalife, or Nuskin, and they're great companies. They weren't on that list, we were. Top 37 best ethics citizens company. Top 5 company to work for. #1 most healthy company in our state. Our employees. We take pride in that. Why? Because our employees are eating this product too, every day. We have fountains full of it, right? They want a Slim Smart Shake for lunch, they got it. They want Pro-Arginine, they got it. They need some E9, pick them up, they got it. We make sure our people are a product of the product. That's #1. Conversion factor #1, company. Is it rock solid, yes or yes?
Yes.
Does anybody have any challenge with the strength of this company? We're publicly traded on the NASDAQ exchange. All you have to do is click in NATR and Google Finance, read all about it. #2, what's the timing like in the marketplace for this company? What's the #1 killer in the world?
Heart disease.
What is it?
Heart disease.
Cardiovascular disease. What's second?
Cancer.
What's third? Diabetes. And guess what's right on its nails? Prescription drugs, in that order. Published by our own government. Cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, and prescription drugs. And prescription drugs are about to take over this one. Why? Because now they can put you on all these Band-Aids to keep you longer, even though you don't feel right? So, at the end of the day, folks, is the timing right? Because if you look to your left or your right, according to the statistics, one of us is going to die of a heart attack. Look to your left and your right, real quick. One of you is going, according to their statistics, right? So when I look at that, I say, okay, we are in front of the #1 killer in the world. The #2 killer in the world. #3 is called prevention, right? We get in front of that. That's what we do. So when we look at our products, and the trends are supported, by the way, because you have your companies rock solid. Timing in the marketplace has never been better. People in America don't even know who Synergy is. So we've had to focus all of our attention in Asia and Europe. We're now focusing in America. And believe me, Bart can say that he was missing in action, but he was on his deathbed making phone calls to a guy named David Davidson in Florida who'd blown up this huge business that's now gone down into the islands and all over the place in any American territory and blowing up a huge business, right? Why? Because the timing's perfect. Why? Because we have a 120-day risk-free money-back guarantee. You eat our product, don't work, you get it back. Why? Because we have something you need. You may not want it, you need it. And that's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing to be in front of. So when you look at the trends in the marketplace, obesity, fibromyalgia, chronic Epstein-Barr, diseases I didn't hear about as a child. I only knew one diabetic in my class when I was young, one. And I didn't understand it. I just knew they had to give them shots and do certain things at certain times of the day. Now my son has 6 or 7 in his class, in every class with a pump on. It's an epidemic, folks, and it's not changing. GMOs, genetically modified foods. Who's gluten-free here? Okay, Did you ever hear gluten-free when you were a child? Never heard of it. Oh, never heard of being gluten-free. It's a joke, right? Now, people are very sensitive. If you can't get them gluten-free foods, they get sick. What we gotta do is we gotta step in front of it. We gotta be a corporate citizen that gets in front of these trends. They're so negative, but yet so positive for you as a business builder and an owner. When you look at the market trends, right? It doesn't take a rocket scientist. The fastest growth sector, and for many years, has been health and wellness, nutrition, because people are seeing things for the first time. In fact, who was born between 1946 and 1964? Okay, always the same case, about 80% of the room. And of those people, they want two things in life, according to your government, our government, worldwide WHO. Well, all they want is two things. They want to look younger and feel better, and they want financial diversification. Who delivers both of them on a silver platter? We do. Synergy does. And it's a fact, right? It's not a game. It's a fact that we're rock solid 45-year-old debt-free company. By the way, on February 18th, which is just around the corner, I'll be in business 19 years. Synergy. 19 years. It seems like I started yesterday. And I think about that and I think, wow, we have so much to do and very little time. My dreams, my vision is simple. How do we penetrate every continent, visit every client? How do we sweep through every country with our message for people to hear? How do we do that? Because Rob brought up a very valid point. In Korea, the Eagle system, there's 5,000 people in that room. They have unbelievable company. They have and I'm talking individuals, right? Unbelievable, loyal customer base. But what Rob said is so critically important. They also have within that unbelievable customer base transformed their best leadership. And if you're not sponsoring new team members into your business, this is great because it's there. Next 15th, it's there. That volume's always there with quality customers. But if you're not adding new team members who are duplicating and driving their business, then what you have is just a small business. If you think like Mr. Huang and Oda-san, 5 presidential executives in 1 month and 1 double presidential in Japan alone in 1 month. When you think of that and you see how they did that, they did it by sponsoring. They sponsored up those customers. They sponsored up new business professionals. This is a business of sponsorship. Those you sponsor and support and serve win. It's very simple. I'm going to close with a story about that later that proves that. But I look at this thing and I say, what's the 5th converting factor? Compensation plan. How do we compensate and treat people fairly? Well, we give out 55% of every commissionable volume dollar that comes in the door. I know of no other company that pays that high based on our dollar to CD ratio. No one. We give you the opportunity to sponsor the very people you love, care, and adore the most in the world, hopefully with credibility up, and match their income dollar for dollar. What did Bart say when he was sick? What happened to his income? It kept going up. How much? $10,000 to $20,000 a month. Why? 2 things. One, because Bart is a gentleman and a scholar, and people know that he loves them, number 1. He's the greatest leader I've ever met in this business. He's full of integrity. That's first and foremost important. Second thing is that he served those people so well and taught them so well that when he got sick and they learned of that, what do you think the natural reaction is? We gotta help this guy. And they went to work hard because they had respect for Bart. Paul, Rudy, all those people rallied around and started taking over. And that's what we do. That's what synergy is. 1 + 1 is 3 or more. The whole is greater than the sum of its individual parts. Me plus you is a whole lot stronger than me alone or you alone. It's simple. But because Bart was a servant leader and because he had positioned people and taught them the correct principles, that when he was sick, his income went up. Diane Levitt disappeared in action for 4.5 years. Showed up to every convention. She's the doll. She's the best. But as far as her daily activities, 0. Right? Her income kept going up. Way up. She's earned almost $15 million with me since I met her. $15 million. Now, I share that with you why. Her husband, she went through some real tragic times that her husband got diagnosed with prostate cancer. She was taking care of him, which she should. That's what a great wife would do. But because of the people within the organization, the system, continued to charge forward, her income didn't drop. I have dear friends in other companies in this industry who, when they get off the treadmill and take a breather, their income also takes a breather. They have to get back on, run. What I've taught from the day one is network marketing was designed work, pay, right? Nobody better than Will Martin. He used to say that every time. Work, pay. Work, pay. Then all of a sudden it's work, pay, right? And everybody loved watching Will do that. Sometimes when I need to motivate myself, I just go watch Will Martin. I do. That's true. And that's what this industry is taught. But it's untrue in other companies. Why do I know that? Because I have dear friends, very good friends, substantial money-earning friends. They get off the treadmill for a year, or have a divorce, or go through a trial in their life, and guess what? Their income goes with it. Yet, I can't find people in Synergy who have gotten off the treadmill with the right servant leaders in place that haven't had their income do what it's supposed to have been, and that's go up. I love that. In fact, to a fault. Because what do I mean by that? So I need Diane Levitt in the trenches every day. I told her that, and she's coming back in the trenches every day, which I love. She just launched this Trulum's like heightened her senses like no other, and her system and everything. She's been working so hard. And by the way, when I say missing in action, I don't mean missing in action. She's been working her butt off behind the scenes on her systems and stuff. But what I mean is just not in the field. And guess what? She's coming back in the field, and she's coming back with a vigor. And I can't even imagine what's going to happen, because that's how powerful and great she is as a leader. So folks, when you break Synergy down, it's these convergence factors that Peter Drucker talked about. He said, Dan, opportunity in the marketplace is because of a process of converging factors previously not together. And all of a sudden they come together. What does that mean? It means that you can have the greatest company in the whole world launch with the greatest product, the greatest comp plan, but if they don't have funding, they're screwed. If they don't have a great company and culture, they're screwed. If one of those things is missing, you're in big trouble. But we undisputably have all five. The company's rock solid, the timing in the marketplace is rock solid, the products are second to nobody. I mean, just the other day, my father, who's been going through a real challenging time with his diabetes, goes into the doc, and I finally had enough. Because my dad's old school, right? He loves his son, but he listens to the doc. And I said, Dad, I'm telling you, 4 scoops, come on. I promise you, you're not going through all this hell and this healing. Well, guess what? I go in there and I finally had enough, so I went to his cardiovascular surgeon. I said, listen, I'm sending you an email today, and I want you to read that email. And you know how arrogant they are. I said, you looking at me? And he said, yeah. I said, I want you to read that email today. I'm sending you a study from the High Desert Institute of Cardiac Health in Victorville, California. That's what it means to my dad. And until my dad gets your blessing, he's not utilizing the stuff, right? I then said, Doc, if you get some time, look in the physician's desk reference under page such and such and read all about it. For 6 straight years, Synergy Worldwide's L-arginine products, the #1 tested L-arginine supplement in the world by cardiovascular and scientific experts, end quote. And would you please look at that compared to the drugs you're giving him as well? So guess what happens? He says, yeah, this isn't going to hurt you at all, Dwayne. My dad starts taking it. Unbelievable. Guess what happens? Accelerates the healing time. In a big way, right? We can't make health claims, folks, but I was there. I'm in the room. I watched this stuff. Worried sick about him for a long time. And now I see this transformation. Crazy, right? When you take that, you put those all together, all those converging factors, and you just simply go out and serve, love, and care for one another, great things happen. When you start having home parties where you got a Trulum and you're doing facials, and women start seeing, and men, they start seeing these drastic differences, you have a business. When you get in there in front of somebody that's suffering from hypertension or some other horrible ailing challenge, black foot disease, neuropathy, whatever it might be, and they get results because you give them a product risk-free with science to back it, you have no idea what that does for the human spirit. And I can tell you, when I met Mr. Tomioka in Japan, he was a very famous person. He was a big-time football player, #1, professional. And #2, when he retired, he had a lot of money, invested in some flats in Tokyo. The market crashed. At the same time they hired him as a coach. Sometimes the best players aren't the best coaches. and they fired him as a coach. And when I met him in Roppongi Hills, he had borrowed a suit from another individual. This is a guy that used to get driven around by people, right? He's studying and doing things in the back of his car. He's going to live in the high life. Anything he wants, when he wants, how he wants it. And now when I meet him, broke. And he said to me, looked me in the eye, he said, Dan, he said, I can't even afford diapers for my daughter, I-Chan. I can't even afford diapers for her. We hear rags to riches stories. His was riches to rags. And he painfully looked at me and he said, please do not mislead me. And I took that very serious. He said, tell me exactly what to do. You wrote the plan, right? I said, yes, sir. Tell me exactly what to do and I'll do it, but I cannot fail. I said, you got it. I said, put one to the common leg, two to the weak leg. It's just that simple. Duplicate it out. That's it. Play the game of health, get 3 people. Now in America, I teach 2. Why? Because the DSA says the average person should sponsor 2.2 people into this business. So I said, let's make it even easier. Let's go to 2. But 3, one of the common 2 of the week. On his 6th month, he hit presidential. He was hospitalized twice from fatigue, collapsed twice. I was there 10 days a month with him. We were doing karaoke bars. We had smoke. One guy was smoking Camels, and one guy was smoking Luckies, and one guy was smoking. It was the worst experience I ever had in my life. I walk out of there with this shearing, just couldn't breathe. But people were going around this karaoke bar seeing a storyboard, right? And this karaoke bar, by the time they got to the exit, there was a little girl sitting there, and she was taking their applications. One of the common 2 of the week, that simple. Think about that. We're sitting here talking about systems and generation of power and this. No, you just put one of the common 2 of the week, and I'll see you next week when you need me to talk to your people. One of the common 2 of the week. In 6 months, he hit presidential executive. His check was $123,000. What he didn't tell anybody was he also built his mother's check, front line to him, to presidential. It's fastest to this day in history of Synergy. To this day, he holds that record. Nobody's passed it. That's all fine and dandy, right? But my point is this: keep it simple, stupid. He simply told them, you want to do what the founder said, he wrote the plan. If you put one of the common 2 to the week, those people on the week are now their common, so they put one of the common 2 to their week. What is it doing? Perfect mega matches the whole way through. So he had 3 solid mega matches. Then after he got them 3 levels deep, he went back to sponsoring. And if Kim Bradley was a rock star, he put him under Kim. If Bart was like sucking wind and not really interested, he avoided it. Put 80% of your time with the people that are building your business and quit spending that extra 20% of your time trying to raise the debt. It doesn't work. My greatest failure. Is it truly? My greatest failure is I still go to meetings in America on a 10-minute notice, and there's 6 or 7 people in the room, and it's the same 6 or 7 I've seen for 10 years. No. My wife drew it. I drew it. It has to come to a time where you say, do these people want this business or not? Yes or no? And if it's yes, then they're going to show you by putting in their effort as well, right? So keep it simple. I teach now 72 hours. We motivate, train, and inspire a new person. Basic understanding of the product, basic understanding of the comp plan, basic understanding of how you move forward. And in 14 days, what do? You get them results. You're guaranteeing them results. They're guaranteed to put people in front of you. It's as simple as that. You guys want to have a true loom party? Invite 2 friends, not 20, not 30, 2. And when those 2 show up, let them invite 2 friends to the next one. And make sure you don't move until they have their 2 in the system. And in 90 days, they got an income that's surpassing their outgoing expenses, and they're locked for life. Because why? They've had a result with this product. 8.8 out of 100 people, 8 out of 100 people, 1 year later, surveyed in this industry, are still using the product. So we thought, well, where are we at? January of 2010 to January of 2017, year after year after year, people taking pro-arginine, 51.5. So if the national average is 8.8 out of 100 people and Synergy is 51.5, then I can get you to your financial goal 6 times faster. And probably 10 to 12 times faster, because our compensation plan, in my opinion, is that much more lucrative for the people. So what do I tell you to do? Go find 2 people. I'm not telling you to avoid your system. Whatever system you have, use it, but just make sure you're using it with 2 people. Plug it in, plug them in. Go sponsor 2 people this week. And do not leave their side until they've sponsored 2 each. Who have sponsored 2, 3 levels deep, train the trainer. Then remove yourself and go back to your sponsoring. See, the challenge is Eddie Freeman. He sponsored 41 people in Synergy his first month. Eddie Freeman's not in Synergy anymore. Next month was 30. Next month it was 28. Next month it was 32. And I called Eddie, I go, hey, this is awesome, man. Your fast start checks are awesome, but guess what? Where's your people? He didn't take the time to train them, to serve them. He just continued to sponsor. Well, he's no longer in business. Great guy, great leader, great recruiter, but no longer in the business. So folks, whatever it is that you want in life, master it out. If it's 2 quality mega matches and a team director, between team director and elite, and that's what you want, and you say I can get $8,000 to $10,000 US dollars a month doing that, then do that. If it's I'm going to hit presidential for these reasons, then do that. If it's I'm going to be team leader and get my product for free, then do that. But whatever it is, identify those goals. What's going to happen is you're going to hit that goal, and then you're going to go, wow, I'd like a little bit more. Because when I met Diane Levitt, I don't care what she says to this day, if she was standing right here. When I met her, and she called me at 5:58 a.m. the next morning, so excited she could hardly sleep, she said to me, man, I've never made over $5,000 a month, ever. And her check went over 30, and then it went to 50, then it went to 100, then it went to 110,000 a month. I don't care if she's standing right here, I'd call her a liar if she believed that was really gonna happen. I would. But guess what, it did. Why? Because she did hit team director, she did fulfill her needs, and then she said, wow, I'd like a little bit more. And she hit Pearl, then she hit Diamond, Emerald, Executive, or Presidential. And everybody in this room can do the same. You guys all know Steve Seeley? I met him, he was handing out my CD, The Founder Story, at the lumber yard, counting lumber, $8.90 an hour. Financial independent, $1 Million Club. Holding barbecues. Every single week, holding barbecues, telling everybody bring a dish, we're gonna have fun. I'd go speak, gain about 20 pounds, do the deal, go to the next one, get 280 barbecues with Steve. It worked for Steve, right? Financial independent. It doesn't matter what you're doing, it doesn't matter what you want, it just matters how you're gonna define it and go get it. Because if you can't be proactive in this business, that's seeing the glass half full every day versus half empty. If you cannot prioritize who you are and what matters most in your life, if you can't think about win-win environments for your people, then you're gonna fail in this business, I promise you. But if you're willing to seek first to understand, then to be understood as a leader, have a 5 cubby, and synergize with your people and their dreams, and serve them for what they want, and sharpen your saw daily, have a 7, then you're gonna win at the highest level you've ever dreamed possible. That I can guarantee, because that is a natural law, right? We don't just go, I was a farmer growing up. I didn't just go out there and throw seed and pray to God for rain. No, I cultivated the land, I harvested the land, I weeded the land, I constantly was irrigating at 4 in the morning, doing my share at 2 in the morning. I hated it, right? But I did it. Why? Because I knew that that harvest meant everything for my grandfather and my uncles. Everything. And if they didn't get that 3rd crop of hay, we're in trouble. You take that serious. You just don't go throw stuff. You just don't go cram and take a test. You don't put Band-Aids on anything. You go and you get the job done. So define who you are, what you want, be proactive, begin with the end in mind today. Where am I gonna be in 5 months, 8 months, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years? Don't let anybody get in your way. Don't let anybody stop you from that behavior. Nobody. Walk through them, run through them, beat them down, whatever you gotta do. They say no, that's another yes somewhere else down the road, just move on. I promise you, just move on. Don't let that pull you down. This is the thing I hate. People get so excited to go tell their friend about it, their friend poo-poos on it, and they go into this cocoon. Oh, no. See, I can't use that word. That's the stuff that motivates Dan Higginson. You have a pitcher strike me out, I cannot wait to face that punk the next time. I'm serious. That juice flows, right? And you're saying, okay, you're gonna come around that end one more time, I'm gonna hammer pack you for 2-yard loss next time. Because that's what drives you, that's the mentality some people don't have. You have to find it. You can't let the little things stop you from achieving your dreams as an individual. Period. Lastly, the thing you gotta know about this company is that this company is built on leaving a legacy, and it's not a joke, it's not a game. If you Google Dan Higginson or YouTube Dan Higginson 20 years ago, I promise you, I never finished without talking about the 4 L's of life. And that's why I do this now when I'm in pictures. Why? Because this means something to me. If you live today as though tomorrow's not going to come, what happens? Truly. See, the problem is our behavior is tomorrow is coming. Well, it didn't for Adrian. It didn't for Will. It didn't for Mr. Yamaguchi, one of our greatest Japanese leaders. Those days didn't come. But thank God they were entrenched and trained what it means to leave a legacy. Adrian, Mr. Yamaguchi, and Will Martin. And that's why you're seeing videos being played of Will Martin how many years later in 28 countries. So let me tell you how I go to bed at night. I go to bed at night and thank God, and I say to him, I hope tomorrow comes, but if it doesn't, I need to make sure I've said what I need to say. Tell your loved ones what you think of them. I don't care if you've been brought up in a system that's so crappy. Tell them you love them. Break through that cycle, because you might not get that chance tomorrow. That's what it means to truly live. Live like you're dying. Every day. Put it in front of you, on your car, in your shower, wherever you got to go. Live like you're dying, because tomorrow's not promised. To love. What does it mean to love? It means that you see a Synergy family, and it's a beautiful family. It is so beautiful when you see all 28 countries and different colors of skin and different cultures and ethnicities, and you say, we're a part of that family? Are you kidding me? Half of the world's problems would be solved if we all just loved. Half of the world's problems would be solved overnight politically and through war and everything else if we just simply loved and decided, we accept your culture. We're sorry we didn't understand your culture. We're sorry you think differently. That's what it means to love. The Synergy teaches that. Live, love, learn. What does that mean to learn? When you wake up in the morning, what do you look at? Are you wasting your time looking at stupid ads on Facebook? Or are you learning something that's going to make your business better? Are you learning about the people in another culture that you may be going after? Are you learning about what their belief systems are? Are you learning why we bow in Japan over and over and over if we're a higher statue of somebody? Or why we do this in Thailand, up or down? Or why we greet people with a kiss in certain countries? Are you really learning that? Because if you're not, you're failing. If you live, love, and learn, and you do die, hopefully 100 years from now for all of us, you'll leave a legacy. And I promise you, nobody talks about Will Martin's house in Spain. Nobody talks about Will Martin's this and that and this and that, and traveled the world and played golf when he wanted. Nobody ever talked about it. What they talk about is Will Martin. Let me tell you something. And I've shared this with his family, because I happened to be blessed enough to have Rob get to me just in time for me to go in and say goodbye the way I wanted to say goodbye to Will Martin. And when we first got there, and Rob can attest to this, it was no visitors, no nothing. He's in a bad way. And I said, he asked me to come, and thank God his brother came around the corner at the exact moment, or I would not have got to say goodbye to Will Martin. And the way when my grandpa used to shake our hands, he'd squeeze, I love you, 3 times. That's how he did it, my whole life. He'd grab us and squeeze us 3 times, I love you. And Will could not communicate. I mean, nothing. He was a skeletal of a man. And his mouth was wide open, he was in agony, and he was in pain. And I said to Will, I yelled into Will, just squeeze my hand 3 times if you know I love you. And with every fiber of his being, he did. And I left there so fulfilled and so grateful to God and everybody else for that opportunity, because those are the opportunities you don't get back, folks. So live today as though it's your last, I promise you. Love the same. Learn, grow, and develop, and leave your legacy. I love each and every one of you, and how can I say that? Some of you say, well, you don't know me, because you're here. Because you're following a system and a company called Synergy Worldwide that I was so blessed and fortunate to start. So I can say that. Now, whether that means if I want to hang out with you, that's 2 different things, right? We may not want to go golfing together. We may not want to go bowling together. But I can honestly say I love each and everybody in this room. From all of us at Synergy Worldwide, we wish you all a very, very blessed Christmas season. And yes, I say Christmas, and if I've offended you, I'm sorry. The bottom line is this. We have 2018 nipping at our heels. It's honest. Those who sponsor and serve win. Those who don't lose. It's just the name. It's simple. Those that get in the trenches every day, meet new people, never judge anybody, look for higher credible people, and bring them into this business, win at the highest levels. Those who don't fail. I hate to see when you fail. Even if you become a product of the product, even if your life has been transformed through these products, your health has been transformed, I still hurt when I know you haven't won. So I'm telling you, it's about you, it's about your decision, it's about your why, it's about you getting focused on serving just two people and making sure you give them everything they want. Because if you find two people that want an extra $5,000 a month in income, and you help them go get that, you're gonna make an extra $25,000 yourself. Why? Because you're getting $5,000 a mega match, $5,000 mega match, your own basic commission, and you're picking up leadership bonus. This compensation plan was designed to be a servant leader. Those who serve win, those that don't lose. It's just that simple. Those that get greedy lose, they leave. We've had a lot of them. Those that make stupid choices end up getting themselves kicked out of the company or whatnot. Be a family member, a synergy team member. Help those to your left and right, help those cross line, help them up line, down line, help them anywhere. Because that's the guys that succeed the most. Mark Comer had no business going to Europe. He has nobody in his downline in Europe. Guess what he does? He goes to Europe. If I called Mark right now and said, Mark, I'm sorry, dude, I know you don't get paid a nickel, but I need you to go over to Scotland and hang out with Campbell for 2 days in Scotland, and I need you to go 2 days with Mods in Oslo, and I need you 2 days over here. I promise you, Mark Comer would get on a plane and go do that. Now, granted, he can afford to, the highest paid distributor, but he does it because that's the right thing to do for the betterment of Synergy worldwide. That's the mindset you must all have. That's the attitude you must have. Be smart about it, work within your own organizations, serve well. God bless you all, and thank you so much for this opportunity. Thanks.